In One Punch Man, monsters are the main focus of villainy. Some regular crime does exist, such as the antics of Sonic in previous chapters, and the revealed criminal classes A through D, and the lot gathered under the Hero Association during Garrou's first appearance. But all in all, the strongest of threats are monsters. Those who don't necessarily retain a humanoid form, but whose appearance, powers, actions are unnatural, creepy, monstrous, and scary. Throughout One Punch Man, we've seen a variety of them, some with weird origins, some with mysterious backstories, in all other manner of instances. But if you pay close attention, it becomes apparent that this isn't random. In fact, I believe there's an entire narrative behind this concept. So let's make this clear. Dr. Genius in Chapter 88 gives us clear facts about the monsters. I will be presenting to you these classifications and whom I believe fits within each section, so you may better understand the appearances of these types of beings when they show up in the story. One often leaves the origins of beings unknown on purpose, which allows tons of speculations, which we the fans thrive on. According to Dr. Genius, there are approximately 5 categories of monsters that prominently exist. First, we have the human to monster transformation. Through negative feelings, unsatisfied needs and desires, as well as explosions of negative emotions, monster transformation may occur. Those with addictions or inferior mental situations fall victim to this as well. Individuals like Phoenix Man, Fist Fight the Jin, Surprise Attack Plum, and Quabante fit this mold with their revealed backstories. A reminder to always take your suit off. Next, there are those who have mutated their selves through environmental factors that greatly change the individual. Poster boys like Jumping Spider, who allowed a spider to crawl into his ear, transformed after he didn't remove it. Or Tongue Stretcher, who transformed after having an intense love for reptiles. These monsters usually have much more pronounced and clear designs that imply their origins, but it isn't always clear, such as monsters like Devil Longhair and Super S, who might also belong in this category. There also exists research specimen, those who through the power of science were altered greatly to resemble monsters in either their abnormality, power, or appearance. The House of Evolution and Dr. Genius himself are known for this in particular. Examples like Carnage Kawato, Mosquito Girl, and Zombie Man immediately come to mind, along with Armored Gorilla, Evil Eye, and Beefcake. Technically, Genos could fall in this category, but let's elaborate first before we speculate on him. Next, there are non-human life forms, who through pollution or other factors may transform as well. The Game Burst monster is a clear example of this. Flushed down the toilet, the environment's sewage allowed him to mutate. Or the Executive, Neon, who seems to have transformed from a regular cat because of excessive love and tender care. There are a few more examples which we aren't completely sure of, but I do believe this may also be the case for them as well. Names like Overgrown Rover, Bug God, Giant Crow, for example, are prime candidates. Awakened Cockroach is another example, who strictly by design seems to fit in this category. Then lastly, we have the nemesis of humans, species monsters. These are monsters who are born in a particular form and seem to have their own race. The Sea Folk, Sky Folk, Subterraneans are clear examples of this, and apparently so are the aliens that destroyed City A. There are also more unconfirmed examples, such as the Grizzly Neon race and the Centipedes, along with the verified existence of vampires as a pure monster race. These are a bit more difficult to identify, as it requires specific dialogue to confirm, or several similar monster appearances. In the example of the Sea Folk, all different manner of marine life were represented in the race, and their appearance didn't necessarily help. That is the extent of the information given in regards to monstrification that directly addresses our points according to Dr. Genius. But I believe that 2 more unofficial categories can be referenced, and that is robots and natural monsters. Robots like G4, G5, and Drive Knight exist and they haven't been given a particular origin yet. The organization has been tossed around, but we don't definitively know anything about these origins. Because it's apparent that they are brought about by the power of science, it could be argued that they should fall in a previously mentioned category that involves scientific specimen, in which case we would indeed include Genos. But I'm not so sure of their exact relevance to that group. We don't know of any cyborg/robot that Dr. Genos has made aside from armored gorilla. The rest are organic experiments. This is why I believe armored gorilla, G4, G5, Genos, and Drive Knight, respectively, should all be an additional category. Future developments may make this an actual concept, regardless of my personal thoughts. But that all hinges on the backstory of Genos and the mysterious warning given by Drive Knight during the dark matter invasion. Natural monsters, on the other hand, are strictly speculative because of appearance. In Chapter 101, Zombie Man fights Pureblood. Throughout the chapter, we see a coalition of creatures that appear very different from others we've seen. They don't have any goofy features that resemble mutations, and they don't look like monster cell variants either. I believe they completely embody what is considered a natural-born monster. They are born in these forms, but aren't necessarily a species. They can take any shape, any form, and aren't bound like the Sea Folk and Sky Folk to a genre of design. We may have also seen examples of them in the Watchdog introduction. He had a pile of bodies underneath him, and they didn't look like mutated monsters. Amai may have also encountered this variant during his concert. The flood of monsters that welcomed the hero's assault on the Monster Association seem to consist of primarily natural-born monsters as well. And I'm willing to speculate that they are the most populous form of monsters that exist. Next, we have the official Monster Cell variant. Now, because of the specifics to Monster Cell transformation and its relevance in the story, Dr. Genos may or may not know about this, and he may or may not be referring to it in one of the mysterious explanations he previously gives. But nonetheless, we will still address it separately. According to Haragiri, these monster cells vitalize your body, allowing you to gain strength and longevity far surpassing human limits. Chose also mentioned that the morals he barely had as a human vanished completely after monsterization. According to Goketsu, monsterization is like a lottery, which is hit or miss, depending on the material's potential, stating that he even chose a tournament setting because stronger humans may have a greater chance of transforming and end up stronger than regular civilians. It's also mentioned by Galewind and Hellfire that those who have full control of their bodies can maintain their human forms and switch between them, while those who can't become wild beasts. Lastly, the monster cells seem to come from Orochi. According to Guro, one's talents after eating a monster cell are completely based on the subject's original talents and won't grow beyond that particular point of advancement. This does seem to be the easiest and most stable way to become a monster currently, although we have seen the extent so far of these transformations. Specimens known as Galewind, Hellfire, Haragiri, Goketsu, and Chose. All of these guys, aside from Chose, have required an S-class effort to bring them down. Monster cell transformation seems like a serious problem. The next discussed method is limit breaker. As explained by Dr. Genos in Chapter 88, all organisms have a limiter, a point at which they will no longer grow in power. After countless tests, experiments, and techniques, according to Guro, the method in which to break this limiter is through death. She says by overcoming death repeatedly, through abnormal punishment to the body and mind, in a personalized hell continuously, one can experience abnormal growth. There are failures to this method though. As you would guess, not many can endure this tactic. Some have lost intelligence due to this, others have lost their ability to grow in strength by just attempting this method, and some revert into regular monsters immediately. Seems like the most dangerous of methods, but Orochi himself is a result of this training, and Goro is the next candidate being forced into this program. This is not the same as Saitama, who through simple effort was able to completely remove his limiter, but it is an exciting way to reach new heights, as we've just witnessed with Garrou's huge story arc. To wrap this up, there are still quite a few monsters who we don't have enough information about to categorize. Their appearance is certainly criteria that can be used, but on occasion that can be misleading. Homeless Emperor, Hot Dog, and Showerhead are all examples that could receive a category, but I wouldn't be too confident in their placement. So make sure to keep an eye out whenever you see Murata draw some fodder monster, or whenever you see a dead corpse, because they could be hints to later storylines, and it's always interesting to identify new Easter eggs that Murata blesses us with.